Jamaicans wake up. The US just dropped a visa ban. And guess which country is in the crosshairs? Jamaica is now caught in a massive international showdown over doctors. But wait, what if I told you this was never really about doctors? The real reason behind this move could shake Caribbean politics forever. And trust me, you're not ready for what's coming. Let's break it all down right now. Imagine waking up to find your travel plans hijacked by international politics. Why is the US pointing fingers at Jamaica over Cuban doctors? And how does this tie into a global power play? And by the end of this video, I'll show you that visa restrictions only punish ordinary Jamaicans, not politicians. Let's unravel this geopolitical thriller. Hey patriotic internet friends and family, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we dissect the juiciest geopolitical dramas. Today we're diving deep into a story that's shaking the Caribbean. The US imposing visa restrictions on countries like Jamaica, all because of Cuban doctors. Buckle up, this one's a roller coaster. So here's the scoop. The United States has expanded its visa restrictions, targeting officials involved in Cuba's labor export program, especially those famous medical missions. According to Reuters, these programs, while providing healthcare worldwide, are viewed by the US as forced labor benefiting the Cuban regime. Now, you might be wondering, what's Jamaica got to do with this? Well, Jamaica, like many CARICOM countries, has welcomed Cuban medical professionals to bolster its healthcare system. But with the US's new stance, countries collaborating with these Cuban missions might find themselves in hot water. Talk about being caught between a rock and a hard place. The geopolitical chessboard. Let's zoom out a bit. This isn't just about doctors and visas. It's a classic geopolitical chess game. Cuba's strengthening ties with BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, signals a shift in global alliances. And the US, they're not too thrilled about losing influence in their backyard. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. What if I told you that this medical mission controversy is just the tip of the iceberg? There's a deeper strategy at play, one that could redefine Caribbean-US relations for years to come. We'll get to that in a moment. Do you think the US is right to impose visa restrictions on Jamaica and CARICOM over Cuban doctors? Or is this just another power play to control the Caribbean? Drop your raw and uncut thoughts in the comments below. The human element. Let's not forget the real heroes here, the Cuban doctors. Since the era of Fidel Castro, these medical professionals have been dispatched worldwide, offering aid where it's needed most. However, reports have surfaced alleging exploitative conditions within these missions, raising ethical questions about the program's implementation. The controversy. The US argues that these missions are a form of state-sponsored human trafficking, exploiting the goodwill of medical professionals for economic gain. On the flip side, supporters claim these missions provide essential services to underserved communities globally. It's a moral quandary wrapped in a geopolitical enigma. But what if this visa restriction is just a smokescreen? Could there be an underlying motive that has nothing to do with doctors or forced labor? Stick around because we're about to uncover a hidden agenda. The economic angle. Jamaica and other CARICOM nations rely on Cuban medical professionals, especially during health crises. The potential fallout from these visa restrictions could strain healthcare systems and economies alike. It's like pulling a thread and watching the whole fabric unravel. The diplomatic tightrope. CARICOM leaders are now in a tight spot, seeking clarity from the U.S. while trying to maintain essential healthcare services. It's a delicate balancing act, with nations walking a diplomatic tightrope, hoping not to tip the scales. The bigger picture. This situation sheds light on the complexities of international relations, where humanitarian efforts intersect with political agendas. It's a stark reminder that in geopolitics, there's always more than meets the eye. Conclusion. So where does this leave us? The US's visa restrictions have opened a Pandora's box of ethical, economic, and political dilemmas. As Jamaica and other CARICOM nations navigate these turbulent waters, the world watches, waiting to see how this geopolitical drama unfolds. Jamaica and CARICOM are caught in the middle of a geopolitical war. Should we stand up to the US or play it safe to avoid sanctions? Comment Team Independence if we should fight back, or comment Team Strategy if we should move carefully. If the US truly cares about labor rights, it should apply consistent standards across all nations, including its own allies. The move undermines Caribbean sovereignty, damages regional health care, and could drive CARICOM closer to BRICS. Ultimately, this decision hurts the Jamaican people more than it affects the politicians the US claims to be targeting. We're not just pushing back, we're shredding the US justification for this geopolitical move piece by piece. Let's deconstruct the hypocrisy, expose the hidden agenda, and lay out the real consequences. 1. Hypocrisy and selective enforcement. The US picks and chooses who to punish. The US does business with China, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar, all countries accused of labor exploitation, yet it targets small Caribbean nations for working with Cuba. Why aren't US allies facing the same sanctions? Saudi Arabia literally has a system where foreign workers can be trapped in forced labor, kafala system, yet the US sells them billions in weapons. The US imports cheap goods from countries using sweatshop labor, but when Caribbean nations hire Cuban doctors to save lives, it suddenly becomes a human rights issue. Make it make sense. Reality check. The US isn't against forced labor, it's against Cuba. This is a Cold War relic, not a moral stance. 2. Undermining Caribbean sovereignty. This is straight up economic colonization. The US would never allow another country to tell it who it can or cannot do business with. So why should Jamaica and CARICOM accept this interference? Cuba has been sending doctors worldwide for decades. Why is this suddenly a problem? This move is not about labor rights. It's a geopolitical power play. The US is saying, do business on our terms or get punished. Reality check. If the US truly respected Caribbean sovereignty, it wouldn't be dictating foreign policy with visa threats. The US says Cuba's labor policies are forced labor, but has no problem doing business with China and Saudi Arabia. Is this just hypocrisy? Reply with facts if you agree, or no way if you don't agree. Drop it in the comment section. 3. The US is hurting healthcare in the Caribbean. Who will replace the Cuban doctors? Jamaica doesn't have enough local doctors, and neither does the US. Where is America's solution? Is the US sending American doctors to fill the gap? No, they are just pulling the rug from under the region's healthcare system with no backup plan. Thousands of Jamaicans rely on Cuban medical professionals, especially in rural areas where there aren't enough doctors. Reality check. If this move was about helping Caribbean workers, it wouldn't cripple the healthcare system that millions depend on. 4. The US risk losing CARICOM to BRICS. A geopolitical backfire in the making. China, Russia, and BRICS are expanding influence in the Caribbean. Moves like this only push CARICOM closer to BRICS and away from the US. Jamaica is already deepening ties with China. The more the US tries to bully small nations, the faster they look for new global partners. The US might think it's showing strength, but it's actually weakening its influence in the region. Reality check. If the US wants to remain the dominant power in the Caribbean, it should be strengthening partnership, not making enemies. Some say this visa ban is really about keeping Jamaica from getting too close to BRICS and China. Do you think the US is afraid of losing influence? Type yes for fact or type no for reaching in the comments. 5. Visa restrictions punish ordinary Jamaicans, not politicians. Jamaicans who want to travel for work, school, and family visits are the real victims of this policy. If a US visa ban is enforced, it will hurt students, business owners, and families, not government officials. This is collective punishment. America is weaponizing visa to force foreign policy changes. Reality check. This is not just a policy decision. This is economic warfare on Caribbean people, not politicians. 6. The US is using Cuba as a scapegoat. This is a smokescreen for domestic politics. The real reason behind this policy, US politicians like Marco Rubio want to score points with Cuban exiles in Florida for upcoming elections. The timing is suspicious. Why now? Why not years ago? Because it's a political stunt, not a serious foreign policy move. US elections are coming up and Republicans want to look tough on communism. Jamaica and CARICOM are just collateral damage. Reality check. This isn't about Cuban doctors. It's about US election politics. Final takeaway. The US is playing dirty geopolitics and the Caribbean is paying the price. The US has no moral high ground. It supports nations with far worse labor abuses. This is economic blackmail, not a policy to help Caribbean workers. Jamaicans will suffer, not politicians. This will push CARICOM closer to BRICS, China and Russia, backfiring on US influence. It's a political stunt, not a real policy to improve human rights. Question for the US. If Cuba's labor program is so bad, why not provide an alternative instead of just punishing small nations? Here's a summary of the highlights and the key points. US expands visa restrictions, targeting officials involved in Cuba's labor export program, labeling it as forced labor. Impact on Jamaica and CARICOM. Countries utilizing Cuban medical professionals may face diplomatic and operational challenges. Cuba's global alliances, strengthening ties with BRICS nations, signaling a shift in geopolitical dynamics, ethical debates, concerns over the exploitation of Cuban medical professionals versus the benefits provided to underserved communities, economic and healthcare implementations, potential strain on CARICOM healthcare systems and economies due to visa restrictions. If you found this deep dive enlightening, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more geopolitical analysis. And let me know in the comments, do you think the US's actions are justified, or is this an overreach into sovereign affairs? Let's get the conversation going. Jamaica's healthcare is on the line. The US wants to block Cuba's medical program, but they are not offering a solution. Should we tell the US to mind their business? Comment yes, back off, or comment no, play it safe. Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith says regional governments are seeking extra clarity on the United States Cuba-related visa restrictions policy.
The Jamaican government is also examining the operation of our system. We have over 400 participants from the Cuban medical program at different levels: doctors, nurses, biomedical engineers, technicians. So their presence here is of importance to our healthcare system. So as soon as we get more information, there is an engagement planned in short order with the CARICOM foreign ministers, the members of the COFCOR. Also, I think are anticipating that the U.S. embassies across the region will get additional formal information, and at that time we should be better able to navigate the potential impact and the way forward. Jamaica's had quite a long history of participation in the Cuban Medical Cooperation Program, and in fact that's replicated throughout the Caribbean. So this statement was received with some concern. We have been reaching out to get more information, to get greater clarity. I don't think I would be incorrect in saying that all of the members of the COFCOR have reached out to their U.S. counterparts or their U.S. contacts at different levels, as I have. I believe we anticipate some more information to come, greater clarity as to what is anticipated.